Good evening, and welcome to the April 28th, 2015 Town Board meeting for the Town of Ossining. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Blaha?
Present.
Councilman Wilshire?
Present.
Councilman Harder?
Present.
Councilperson Jeffrey?
Present.
And Supervisor Donnelly.
Present.
Yep. Do we have any announcements?
We do, ma'am. Good evening. While there is no question that we are moving forward with the town-wide revaluation or reassessment, we must put to rest some misconceptions on the homestead option. In March 2015, each member of this board signed a document, which we will publish tomorrow, stating our commitment not to move forward with the homestead option for a variety of reasons, including getting a handle on the new software, continuing to promote our community as a fair place to do business, and just plain getting the revaluation done correctly. However, we can only take a formal vote after the analysis is complete and the tax shift has been determined, which will not be done until February, March of 2016. Once the town has completed the analysis and votes not to move forward on the homestead, neither the schools nor the villages will have the option to move forward on the homestead option. As many of you are aware, Councilman Jeff Harder will be completing his 6th consecutive term in service to the town of Ossining, and after 24 years will be retiring and not seeking re-election. We know we will have at least one new board member. However, it only takes a majority vote, or at least 3 votes, to pass a resolution. Should the rest of this board remain the same on January 1st, 2016, you have the commitment of this board, as it stands today, that will vote against the homestead option for the reassessment. Today, of all days, is Jeff Harder Day in the town of Ossining. We want to celebrate with him this evening. We've been celebrating for the last 15 minutes. As stated above, Jeff is retiring after 24 years at the end of this year. We celebrated his time with us by giving him the Stephen A. Galiff Award at a brunch on Sunday. We want to thank you, Jeff, for your wisdom and what that you have shared with us and all your institutional knowledge. But he's still going to be around for the rest of this year. Some exciting things that are happening this weekend.
I want to clap.
Oh, let's clap. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank the residents.
Yes, and all the residents should be celebrating Jeff Harder Day today. You can celebrate tomorrow, too.
When does the parade start?
This is it.
This is it. May 1st, Friday, May 1st, there'll be a lecture at OBCC. Captain Scott Craven at 7:30 p.m. will be talking about the icons along Route 9, not 9A, 9, Route 9. It's always a fun presentation that Captain Craven puts together, and so again, it's at 7:30 on Friday evening at the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club. On Saturday, May 2nd, 2015, at 10 a.m., the Ossining Historical Cemeteries Conservancy will be at Dale Cemetery and have an introductory lesson on the care and restoration of historical burial grounds. The focus is on simple, minimal invasion techniques that help us restand the tombstones and what have you. The rain date for this will be Sunday, May 3rd. You will start to see more boats in the Hudson River, a sure sign of spring. Take advantage of using your waterfront parks, as like Lewis Angle Park and the Crawbucky Trails, or even the parks that are not on the Hudson River. Mark your calendars for next Saturday, May 9th, for Stash the Trash. Chris Soyd sent me the hours at the last minute today. He's starting it quite early in the morning. I'm just going to check real quickly when that is. I don't misquote him. Chris. He's going to do 8:30 to noon on Saturday, May 9th, so it gives you the rest of the day. We understand that there are some ball games, but there are ball games all day, so, you know, there's never a good time to do that. Places to get your gloves, if you have your own, that's even better, and your bags is the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center, the Jug Tavern over in Sparta, Ossining Historical Society, and Lewis Angle Waterfront Park. Chris Soy is still looking for volunteers to man those stations. Please let him know if where you will be picking up the trash too, so that we can make sure the village and town staffs know where the bags of trash are. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I have a statement. Although I want to clarify, he's looking for people to man the stations.
He's
where
looking for
the-
both. He's looking for both volunteers to pick up the trash and people to man the station.
man-
Usually they get the kids from the high school that need service hours.
Maybe
Yeah.
I can help with one of those things. then.
Okay.
Okay. Last Tuesday at the town hall meeting, a question was asked by a resident regarding Homestead. Specifically, the question was as to this board's decision to table the matter and the implications of that decision going forward. The town attorney made a statement at that time that while this board tabled it, it would not bind any future boards with respect to the decision on whether to vote for the homestead option or against it. Since that meeting, community members have come to me because it seems that there is information out there that is contradictory or confusing. On the town's own website, it states, "To reiterate, we are tabling the homestead option. It will be the prerogative of a future town board to reconsider the homestead option if the town of Ossining undergoes a subsequent reevaluation." In other literature out there, it states that homestead by law cannot be resurrected unless there is another town-wide reassessment in future years. Those statements are incorrect and need to be amended. The town website should be amended. In this particular case regarding homestead, as long as the reassessment is on the table, there can be a vote regarding applying homestead. In fact, there is a legal step that the board must do and the state must approve before the board legally has the right to even consider the homestead option. This means that although this board has tabled the matter, the new board in 2016 could vote to implement homestead. This is not to scare anyone. No one knows what the new board will do or who will be on the new board. This is simply to clarify the facts with respect to the homestead option and to state that it is still legally an option.
Thank you. And I think that we have been very explicit in saying that we are not going to do the homestead option, and we will proceed with putting our signed document by all five of us. It was unanimous that we would not do the thing. So
Absolutely, but the fact of the matter is that it's not an option just because we tabled it, and so
No, but
that
if-
needs to be clarified. On the town website, it says that it's only under a subsequent reevaluation. That's not correct.
So we'll change the slight verbiage change. We'll do that on tomorrow, Maddie, okay? Thank you. But thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's continue. I hope that the young lady did not go over to 16 Croton Avenue, but she might have. So if she did and it gets to be too late because we need to go into executive session tonight, we will have her, ask her to come back next week. I was just trying to have the presentation tonight so we could be in full discussion next week. So, Madam, for the lumen lights. Yeah.
Anybody able to-
Do we have any public comment on
I'll
the
send a
agenda?
text.
No? Okay. We will go into our resolutions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the April 14th, 2015 minutes of the regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Resolved the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the April 21st, 2015 minutes of the special meeting
Is that Village Hall?
as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I texted her. Well, I sent her an
All
email.
those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated April 28th, 2015, in the amount of $518,992.12. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tax certiorari. Whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by North State Road LLC against the Town of Ossining to review the tax assessments made on petitioner's property located at 565 North State Road, Town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 90.15-1-48, all for tax assessment years 2011 through 2014, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index numbers 150-41-11, 668-33-12, 650-644-13, and 672-79-14. And whereas the above petition has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings, subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. And we have a total of 2011, 12, 13, and 14 is reduced from 59,100. 2011 was reduced to 38,610 with a assessment reduction of $20,490. 12, it was assessed valuation is $40,260 with a reduction of $18,840. 13 was $41,514 with an assessment reduction of $17,586. And 2014, an assessed valuation reduced to $39,270 with a reduction of $19,830. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon recommendation of the assessor, concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Ossining. Now therefore resolved that settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, wherein such proceedings are pending. And it is further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement. And is further resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement. And the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $11,750.23, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by Joseph Lukovic against the town of Ossining to review the tax assessments made on petitioner's property located at 157 South Highland Avenue, town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the town of Ossining as Section 97.15-3-34, all for tax assessment years 2012 through 2014, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index number 669-14-12, 673-31-13, and 675-53-14. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. Assessment year 2012 and 2013, $64,200, reduced to $48,150 with an assessment of $16,050. 2014, $64,200, $48,150, $16,050. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor, concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town. Now, therefore, it is resolved that settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, when such proceedings are pending. And it is further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement. And it is further resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement, and the tax receiver is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $758.80, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We're just going to finish our resolutions, and then we'll have the presentation, okay? Okay. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Madam Clerk.
Okay, whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by Sony Corp. Of America against the town of Ossining to review the tax assessments made on petitioner's property located at 600 Albany Post Road in the village of Briarcliff Manor, town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the town of Ossining as section 104.11, blocks 1, lot 40, all for tax assessment years 2011 through 2013, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index numbers 56958, 2011, 64844, 2012, and 65161, 2013. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings, subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. Tax assessment years 2011, 12, and 13 reduced from $522,100. 2011, it was reduced to $351,000 with an assessment of $171,100. 2012, it was reduced to $366,000 with an assessment of $156,100. And 2013, it was reduced to $377,400 with an assessment of $144,700. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said judgment will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor, concurred by the town attorney, finds that the proposed settlement appropriate and the best interest of the town of Ossining, now therefore be it resolved that the settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, wherein such proceedings are pending, and it is further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement, and is further resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make
Bless
the
you.
changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement, and the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $5,445.18, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, Madam Supervisor, would you like me to continue on, or would you like?
Yeah, no, we'll just finish the resolutions, so we stay in a stream, and then we'll have the presentation, okay?
Whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by Credendino Realty Corporation against the town of Ossining to review the tax assessments made on petitioner's property located 88 North Highland Avenue, town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the town of Ossining as section 89.15, block 2, lot 65, all for tax assessment years 2008 through 2014, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index numbers 223-9508, 234-2209, 250-2310, 150-3811, 668, 2812, 656, 4813, and 672, 56, 14. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property improvements as follows. For the years 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, they're all being reduced from $55,000 to $39,000 with an assessment of $16,000 for each year. Whereas any and all
Assessment
refunds
reduction.
necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and as the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor, concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Austin. Now therefore it is resolved that settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, wherein such proceedings are pending. And it is further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement. And it is further resolved that, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Austin, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement. And the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Austin taxes estimated to be $1,358 and a penny, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's it.
How about the resolution? Okay.
Yeah, those are rather lengthy. Resolution in support of the town's position on dredging in the Hudson River. Whereas the Hudson River is an American heritage river and the Hudson River Valley is a national heritage area, and the health and beauty of the Hudson River is critical to the economic vitality of the communities surrounding it, including those throughout Westchester and Putnam counties, as well as state and country at large. And whereas sections of the Hudson River, from Hudson Falls to New York City, are a federal Superfund site because the General Motors Corporation discharged...
Electric
General Electric?
What did I say?
motors.
I'm sorry, General Electric. Sorry, General Motors. Corporation discharged large quantities of polychlorinated
Biphenyls.
hyphenol from
PCBs.
two of its manufacturing plants between 1947 and 1977, whereas the town of Austin has been asked by Clearwater, Riverkeeper, and other organizations to support their efforts to cause the PCBs to be removed from the Hudson River to further restore the Hudson River to its former ecological health and spur the revival of long dormant economic opportunities for both the upper and lower Hudson communities, including the towns in Westchester and Putnam counties. And whereas this endeavor has already been supported by more than 50 municipalities and is something that the Town of Austin Board is eager to support as well. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Austin hereby lends its voice to this effort and urges a more thorough removal of PCBs from the Hudson River and calls GE to 1. Dredge all areas of PCB contaminated sediment in River Section 2 and 3 that would require cleanup under the applicable standards in River Section 1, including at a minimum the 136 acres identified by the federal trustees. 2. Conduct any additional necessary removal of soils and sediments in the PCB contaminated hotspots in and around the upper Hudson River, including cleanup of the Champlain Canal to ensure full use of the canal by deep draft shipping vessels. And 3. Complete a thorough analysis and robust cleanup of the Hudson River, including the floodplains and the old Champlain Canal, in order to restore the Hudson to its full health and value as a natural and economic resource. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Supervisor, can I just speak very quickly on that? I just as a lover of the Hudson River and being born and raised in Hudson River communities of Dobbs Ferry and now raising my family in the town of Ossining, I know that this has been done before by other municipalities, but this really brings to light how much I enjoy participating on this town board in ways that are, I believe, meaningful, not just to myself and to my family, but to our entire community, the state, and the nation at large. I think this is, calling upon General Electric to continue its efforts to clean our beautiful, majestic Hudson River is just a small step for us. But hopefully these continued cleanups will preserve and protect our Hudson River for decades and centuries to come. So I'm very glad to be part of this legislation.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 12, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street in Austin, in the matter of the 2015 cabaret application for the Briarcliff Manor featuring Antipasto di Napoli Restaurant and Bar, 25 Studio Hill Road, Briarcliff Manor, New York. Do I have a motion?
Just want to emphasize that this is the same place that the Haymont House was. It's the new owners. This is, they go by quite a few names, Briarcliff Manor. It's a Briarcliff Manor Restaurant and Catering Incorporated, doing business as
The Antipasto di Napoli Restaurant and Bar.
you know what, we'll all call it the Briarcliff. But anyway, that's the public hearing for the cabaret license, and that will be on May 12th. I have gotten some calls on that, so I just want to emphasize. Madam
Right.
Clerk.
And they will be contacted to attend this public hearing.
Yes, they already plan on it. I've already spoken to them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved the town board,
Do we know what time we did the?
We'll get you a copy of it.
Okay.
Okay.
resolved the town board of the town of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 12, 2015, at 7:35 p.m. in the Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street in Austin, in the matter of the Community Choice Aggregation Program for the town of Austin. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Again, I just want to emphasize the community choice aggregation doesn't necessarily call for a public hearing, but we want to hear from it, and we're going to request that some of the people, because as they said to us, you hear it 3 times and you totally understand it. That would be our 3rd time. So, but we want to see if anybody has any input from it too, so we want to open it up to the public. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved the town board of the town of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 12, 2015, at 7:40 p.m. in the Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street in Austin, in the matter of the amendments to no parking regulations in the town of Austin. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Only calling for the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just want to say that we have, this is the thing that we've been going over with Michael G. O'Connor. We've had it at a town hall meeting, and we've had it at a work session. And we've had some people calling up, so we just want to remind people that we have to have a public hearing for a law. But we know where there's a couple of questions as to where people, we're going to try to work that out before the 12th. I just want to point out, too, that just because it says 7:30, 7:35, and 7:40, public hearings will go on as long as they have to that night. We just have to stagger them. We don't expect any public hearing to last 5 minutes unless no one's here to speak on it. We've had it, but not these particular topics. Okay, Madam Clerk.
We have resolved the town board of the town of Austin hereby accepts the town planning board resolution dated April 10th, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have no monthly reports. Do you want to do visitor
Wait, can I
recognition?
ask about that planning
Sure.
board resolution? Was that the secret?
No, tomorrow night, I'll say that now. I was
Okay.
going to say it at the end, but tomorrow night is the scoping document will be reviewed in open session with public comment. It will be at the community center. We've got the multipurpose room. That was the biggest room we could get. Again, we have limited space that we can do this in, but the secret document will continue to be, we have until like May 15th, I believe. Right, Council? I think it's around that date. That 60 days runs out.
I believe
But we
so.
wanted to,
Right.
we wanted to have a public input night, and then they can continue working on the document. The document is only a draft.
This is a scoping session.
This is just a scoping session for the, okay? And this is only to give them an outline of what they have to do. I mean, this is a very long process, so.
Do you want to do visitor recognition, or would you like to have your presentation?
I think we'll do the presentation. Thank you very much. So tonight, let me turn back to the front page. Tonight, we're going to see a presentation. We're going to hear a presentation. We're not going to see anything. But we're going to hear a presentation on Lumen Light Solutions LED lighting for the town of Ossining. This is the same program that the Village of Ossining has shown at various meetings, and this is an extension off the village program into the unincorporated area. It should be noted that the Village of Ossining, we have an IMA, which is an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Ossining to do our lighting for us in the unincorporated area. So welcome. Please introduce yourselves, and we all have a copy of your proposal. And what we're going to do is have your presentation tonight. Let the board digest it. I don't know if you're available next Tuesday, but we're going to talk about it in a work session too. Okay. But we didn't want it to go on a long time, since we know that if this is the decision we want to go with, we know that the village is voting tomorrow night on a proposal. It's on their agenda to vote tomorrow night. I don't know how the vote will go, but who am I to make a decision for them? So Heather?
I'm Heather Couple with Lumen Light Solutions. And
Can you, let me make sure Tom can hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Heather Couple with Lumen Light Solutions, and I have with me Robert Craig with Lumen Light Solutions as well. We are the vendor that proposed to the city of Yonkers to convert their street lighting system, which consisted of 11,952 lights at the proposal stage. And their RFP requested that you identify a one-for-one streetlight replacement that maximized their energy savings and paid for the conversion out of the energy savings that was generated by converting in the form of a lease using the New York State energy law that allows municipalities to install energy efficiency measures and lease them for a period not to exceed their useful life. Lumen Light Solutions was the successful proposer on that, having provided a local team based in Westchester County. Both of the members of Lumen Light Solutions, Yonkers Contracting Company, and Verde Electric are housed and homed and headquartered in Westchester, have been here all of our company's operating years. For Verde, that's 20 years, and for Yonkers, it's almost 70 years now. So based on having provided the best energy savings, best value price, we were selected to provide the conversion for the city of Yonkers. That began with an energy audit where you went around and verified in the field all of the fixtures that are in the field versus what's in the Con Ed database. I don't know how familiar you are with how your street lighting bill is generated, but it's based on an inventory that is in a Con Ed streetlight database that then they calculate the rated watts. For each fixture, there's a bulb and a ballast that uses power, and that gives a rated watts. It's multiplied times the annual burn hours that's set based on sun standards of how much daylight there is different times of the year. It's 4,270 over the course of a year, and it does average seasonally. So it's all set by the Public Services Commission and blessed by them. Con Ed reports your kilowatt usage with a 3% allowance for Con Ed issues, power being out of some kind, poles being down or that kind of thing. And that goes to NYPA. NYPA then puts the charge on it for the Con Ed delivery rate, the power charge from NYPA, and there shows up your bill. In some municipalities' instances, your database is kept up very well. In some cases, it's not. When it's off, there's a difference in the billing that sometimes overstate and sometimes understates the amount of streetlights that you actually have. As part of this contract, you will reconcile that inventory to what you actually have. We will do a field audit. You will see your lighting as it exists today. It gives you a chance to adjust lighting on all of your streets. If maybe you think there should be fewer or more lights on a street to meet your lighting standards, or there's a street that got built that only has 2 street lights on it and you need more lighting on it, that can certainly be adjusted, as well as the level of lighting at each street. In some cases, municipalities, like the city of Yonkers, would go out and replace a light bulb with whatever wattage they had available to get light back on the street, and then they oftentimes did not get a chance to go back out and replace that wattage that was there with a lower wattage that was more appropriate for the street, because DPW crews are so far stretched in their needs of dealing with everything that they have to deal with. So you'll reconcile and get a lighting plan that you'll then review and approve, or your city engineer and your supervisor will on your behalf. And with that, we will then implement an installation phase. We order all the fixtures, store them, furnish them, and have them all installed. In the case of the city of Yonkers, the audit was 2.5 months, and in 10 months, a little over the 10 months, we installed 11,300 fixtures. So with your municipality, you have around 400 fixtures. That would probably take maybe a month to install. The opportunity being offered to you in the proposal you have before you is the opportunity to piggyback on a bid that was from the city of New Rochelle. New Rochelle took a different approach than Yonkers, and they put out a furnish, install with potential finance bid that includes all of the services that Yonkers had, just in a bid format, so it was publicly opened. That generated greater competition, drove the fixture prices down, and I'm happy to say you're probably seeing the best fixture prices you will probably ever see. So that gives you the benefit of being able to capitalize on a 7,000 unit volume order along with the village. If you do your work at near the same time as theirs, it provides you with savings on some of the MPT and traffic stuff that we would implement for mobilizing crews differently. Then it's important to note that as we install, you don't pay anything under the lease option. If you lease the lights from us, you will get all the benefits of your energy savings. All the fixtures will be installed. You will sign off on a certificate of completion. We'll work through any issues with you before you start paying a dime. The payments are then on a lump sum annual basis for a period of the financing term. The village, because they have both decoratives and Cobra heads, is, I believe, going to use a 7-year term, or considering a 7-year term. You could select the 7-year to match them, or the 5-year, and depending on what suits your economic needs and the energy savings being generated. Paul had us include in the proposal you got before you a contingency amount that's an allowance for if there's more fixtures you want to add, just so you're looking at a higher the outside cost as opposed to a lower cost, then coming back with any modifications you make increasing your cost. From here it should go down as opposed to go up. And that would be used only on approval of your village engineer and your supervisor. And then the lease option has payments for a year, annual payments for a year. During that lease period, we continue to provide you with services. In the event you chose not to do the lease and pay for this out of a budget you have, or maybe set aside, or you want to do bonding or something like that, you would make payments to us for an upfront order of fixtures, installation each month or in the month that we install them, and your out-of-pocket cash flow will be somewhat different. With the lease, you got fixed annual payments. The lease terms, in terms of the financing, for the rate equivalency matches what NYPA and bonding rates are for the similar 5 to 7 year terms. And we continue to provide services during the lease term. We help you with any warranty repairs. If a light goes out inexplicably and you can't understand why, you take it down, put a new one up, give it to us. We take care of getting the manufacturer to replace it. The lights come with a 10-year warranty, so they will, if there's any manufacturer's defects, they will replace them for up to 10 years. And LED fixtures nowadays are rated to last 18 to 23 years. So You're not going to have to think about your street lighting system, hopefully, going forward. It'll be easier maintenance. And we will also, if you have a accident on a street and it knocks a pole down, or a storm comes through and knocks some poles down and the lights are damaged, those would then have to be paid to be replaced. Well, when you go to a manufacturer or any distributor and you want to purchase 5, 7, 10 to 30 fixtures, it costs you a lot more than the price you're going to be paying under this contract. And in the lease option, the price for the fixtures stays fixed for the period of the lease term. So you will pay nothing more than what you're paying today. If the price of the fixtures went down, of course, you would see that, realize that savings as well. But with the way LEDs are in the marketplace these days, the prices haven't been going all that much down. They've been staying steady because the demand has been increasing. So that's just the way the economies of this work. I know you've had a lot of information before you to digest. We are experienced crews. We use union labor, local, that is experienced working within both city and village streets, puts up the proper maintenance and protection of traffic to assure the traveling public and the workers are all safe. They're experienced working in Con Ed high power lines and the power lines that you would need to be working within to replace these street lights, which gets better buy-in from Con Ed and the utilities, knowing people are on their poles that know what they're doing. With that, I would like to open up for any questions that you might have.
One of the, I think what we'll need for next Tuesday, or if you can get it to us and then we can send it to all the, to the council people, is if we did decide to finance this on our own, which has always been a question for us, right? What would our service contract look like? Would it look, like you said, if you lease it, you get guaranteed the price of the light fixture for the life of the lease. What if we did not? We need to know the options, because we'll have Tom at that next meeting. He's also our comptroller. He's the village very busy man. So just so that we have it, we have a good idea if that was the direction we went in for financing. Also, I know that you're aware that we have unusual decorative lighting.
Mm-hmm.
The village pretty much has standardized decorative lighting downtown. We have neighborhoods where people put up lighting. yeah, like I can name one road right now. I won't name it, but we might have to sit down and go over that. Those fixtures, the entire fixture. I mean, some of them are on wood. There's a thing on top of wood. It's a small road, thank God.
Oh, so they're not, they weren't put up by...
No, they were put up by the developer.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So we'd have to look at that. Yeah. And we also had the question, and I was told that since the light fixtures, we have much more larger passive parks where you drive into parking lots. You don't park in the parking lot and then walk into the park as much. We have more passive parks. So we wanted to make sure that when we do the inventory, that those poles inside were addressed. We were told that they were part of the inventory, that what is not part of the inventory is the floodlights of the field lights, which would be another phase of this program, because that's a whole different fixture that you would have. You would think that would be one of the big things down the road a piece. I could imagine that would be unbelievable savings, is to go from the light fixtures we have on the field lights, right now, which we have on automatic timers. We have, we try to control them as much as we can out there. Those were my questions. Those were my questions the last time. So we're going to continue asking. What I did was I wrote down, have Tom Warren talk up to the board about the different financing options of this system. And it's Rob, right? Yeah. I just want to point out to the board that it was Rob's company that did the, because he came in to see me, he did the street light at 134 and 9A, and I want to thank you. I know the state paid you, but I want to thank you. You did it before Thanksgiving, and it has been a miracle out there. We must have had the fire department, the Jaws of Life out there every other day before then. It was a horrible traffic accident intersection, and I have to say, I sometimes sit there and just look. You know, we did the no right turn off of 9A onto 134, and then we did the where you have the hard red arrow. So, and please, if you have any opportunity to tell people where to get those shields, because we have other light fixtures that that we need those shields behind, so that the sun, you can see when it's red and green. You know, I love them too. So just want to point and thank you for that, because I haven't seen you since that before Thanksgiving, so when you came in to tell us you were going to do that and mess up our traffic for a while. So does anybody, you have any questions right now? Or yeah, and don't forget we're going
He does, and
to
then I do.
talk about it at the next work session, so you can like formulate your thoughts and stuff. But if you want to throw some questions out now.
I would love the opportunity to throw some questions
Okay.
by our presenters. Thank you for coming tonight. First, I don't understand what the benefits of leasing versus purchasing are. I'm sure the village has gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, so maybe we'll chat with them. But I'm curious, do you have a lease to purchase option?
At the end of the lease, you purchase the fixtures for $1.
So is that already in
It's
play for the
in place,
those
yes.
that
It's a
lease?
lease to purchase, basically. You would lease the fixtures, then the term of the lease, you pay off your project cost. The project cost, because it was competitively bid, includes the price of doing the audit, furnishing, installing, and entering and reconciling everything in your Con Ed database, so you start seeing the savings. All of that is included. The most time-consuming part, quite honestly, is reconciling the Con Ed database, because you've got to know which record goes with which light on which street. And that's kind of really a lot of the time-consuming. Probably the most expensive part is the fixtures and the installation, but it includes the whole thing. And then at the end of the lease, you purchase the fixtures for $1.
So is there a way, I guess we'll ask Tom this also, is there a way to compare whether, because I would assume that the cost to lease is probably the same as or more than it would cost than if the town just bought them outright or used a bond anticipation note in order to fund.
On the second page of their thing, it seems like it says, and I was going to ask, so this might buy into that, the cost of the project calculation, it says a total project cost, and then the next page after that says lease financing proposal, and it seems to show the difference in price between the cost of the project and the financing. So that, I don't know, I think that might be part of where you were going.
Part of where I'm going, I guess then the question is, I guess on the town side, what is the cost of the town to buy it now and then fund it through our own financing?
All right. That's what we'll have Tom put a spreadsheet together for, so that we understand it, okay?
Just sort of in simple terms, just to put in your mind, and I can review this with Tom as well. When
Poor Tom is not here to.
Right,
defend himself.
whenever by phone, in between meetings or whenever.
Yeah.
You're roughly around $190,000 if you paid for all the lights to be done right now today, cash in the bank.
Okay.
So you'd have $190,000 out of your capital funds.
Right.
The lease option essentially incorporates what a lot of people refer to as a financing charge, which is really sort of our services as well as a financing that averages out to around 4%. About 4.2 for the 7-year, 4 for this 4 for the 5-year, which equates, when you look at in the city of New Rochelle, they got a quote from NYPA to use the NYPA financing, which is a variable rate that rates somewhere between 1% and 5%, sometimes more depending on where the interest goes, and then they charge administrative fees for they're administering the money, putting the money onto your bill, and then you have to check and make sure they're charging the right amount of money on your bill every month. So that is an option. When we compared our financing cost with what New Rochelle was getting from NYPA, ours was actually equal in terms of dollar value. And the village, and I'm sure your legal counsel, your finance people can talk to the village finance people, they compared bonding rates for a similar 5-year bond term plus the cost of doing the bonds and found the rate comparable. So the lease also allows you to do this off of your borrowing books, so it doesn't show up as borrowing in your capacity. And that's really the advantages. And of course, it's a municipal, each municipality views it differently.
Right.
So thank you. That adds a lot of information. That, in fact, that answers my question almost entirely for what I expected. So thank you for that response. So just in terms of lumens, right? Lumen is the method, that's the unit of measurement as to how bright something is, right? So that if you were taking a fixture and taking out the old fixture, which is, just blaring light everywhere, and you install a new fixture, does it emanate the same amount of light so that is it the same amount of candle power or whatever it is, so that it's equivalent light?
In simple terms, we use something called an isocurve analysis. I've learned this over the last 2 years. That you compare the isocurve of the light emitted by your current high-pressure sodium that's lighting and the isocurve of the LEDs to match the lighting in terms of what it's going to light, the lighting the street. What you'll see with LEDs is you'll get less wasted light. You're going to light your street and your sidewalk, but you're not going to light front yards. You're not going to light across the street. You'll just light the area in the roadway that the light is intended on lighting. More technical explanation can be given by Rob.
But you also, a big thing that comes up too is dark skies. You don't want the LED light shooting up into the sky because we do see beautiful stars here, and when we have clear skies, so they're all dark skies. Okay.
All dark sky compliant, 100%.
So I go to Home Depot and they say Philips has these new LED lights, and it says right on the cover, equivalent to a 60-watt incandescent bulb. So you buy this thing, you pay $20 for a bulb, and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just paid $20 for a light bulb. You take it to your home, you put it in, and even though it says that it's equivalent to a 60-watt incandescent bulb, there's no way that it is. To the naked eye, I look at something and I say, this is not as bright as the light I used to have in here. So can you answer that? I understand that this is more savings of light, there's less waste of light, but
I find the opposite. I find sometimes the LED lights are brighter.
Yeah, that's the scary part, is that when people go to LEDs, what everybody's used to in lighting, especially in your homes, is incandescent lighting. Lighting is based on a scale of temperature. And the temperature range goes from between about 2200 Kelvin, which is the temperature, up to 5500 Kelvin, which is like a very blue light. So if you have to think about your incandescents in your home, they're about 2500 Kelvin. Now, that's a lower light, but it's a warm light, a golden light that I think we've all kind of gotten used to. Office buildings, compact fluorescents, they're a much bluer light. They're kind of going up past the 4,000 into the 5,000s. Blue lighting in an office. There was a lot of reports regarding the negative impact on blue lighting and LED lighting and lighting at night. One of them was regarding blue lighting. And blue lighting during the day is a good thing. It actually boosts your attention, your reaction times, and it's a good thing. But at night, what it can do is disrupt that sleep cycle and the circadian rhythms of nature and whatnot. So these fixtures that we are going to be providing to you are 4,000 Kelvin. Now, 4,000 Kelvin is a neutral light. So don't see the light. You don't want the 5,500 Kelvin fixtures. That's kind of equivalent to looking at like a Star Trek teleporter. You see the blue light, you see the string. You don't want that. And the old LEDs that came out in 2005, they were kind of guilty of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
They were guilty of that. So the
okay.
newer stuff, the technology, the LED technology has come so far. Also, those lights used to shine straight down, almost like a spotlight. They didn't have the ability to do like an isometric curve to be able to throw the light over to that side of the street, to throw the light down each side of the street and not light, like the lawn behind you. So the technology has gotten incredible on these lights now. So when you go into Home Depot and you go find the fixture that says it's equivalent, that can be rated like maybe just the spot the size of a quarter could be equivalent to the same size, or the same amount of light could be huge. it's not a great comparison. I'm sure at some point in order to make that statement, there was. What we do is we take these ISO curves that Heather was discussing, and it's a weird shape, and it rates the candle lumens of the lights in the street, effective to 1 to 0.5, and it shows it on a street how your fixture right now is lighting your roadway. We then analyze the fixtures that we have available to us, and we overlay our ISO curves on top of the ISO curves of what you have. And our job, our goal, is to only provide you equal or better lighting, effective lighting. Instead of the sidewalk being 0.5, maybe you want more of 1 candle lumen on that sidewalk instead of candle lumens way back there, which we don't care about. We're trying to light your sidewalks and your streets more effectively. So we're giving you more lighting where you want your lighting, and not garbage lighting where you don't need it or want it. So that's what we're going to give you.
So in essence, you'd light the downtowns better, yet the neighborhoods can be soft, less lighting, just so that you can walk down the street. But
Yes.
yeah.
Let's also talk about color. Color on lighting is also kind of important. I think what we're all used to is the orange glow of high-pressure sodium lighting. And we're all used to that because that's what everyone has used, only because there really was nothing much better on the market than that. Lighting engineers really love metal halide lighting. Metal halide lighting is a beautiful white light, 4,000 Kelvin, but the problem with metal halide lighting is they love energy, they take a ton of energy, and their output of lighting is actually half of that of other fixtures. So if you want that beautiful white light, this was years ago, you'd have to put in twice as many fixtures, which is going to twice as much cost. Your energy costs are going to go way up. So it wasn't worth it. So everybody put in high-pressure sodiums. High-pressure sodiums are orange light. So we go out into a parking lot. Every car in the parking lot is gray or a shade of gray. And every single jacket in the parking lot is gray or a shade of gray. There's no blues, there's no purples, there's no reds. And when you get back to 4,000 Kelvin, which these fixtures that we're giving to New Rochelle, and we're also offering to Ossining, 4,000 Kelvin. Now, not only is that great because you can identify colors of cars and what people are wearing, also helps these communities be able to appreciate some of the beauty that we experience during the day from natural lighting. Let me give you an example. You're lighting your streets. Well, maybe that red brick building is not going to look gray. It's going to look like a red brick building. The grass is going to look green, not some weird color. Flowers are going to be the true color of the flowers. So at night, your cityscape improves. You can see colors. It's very exciting. It's very dynamic.
Yeah, great. And then one more question. I've got a lot more questions, but just for tonight, one more. Do you credit for the used fixtures that you're taking out? I mean, do you give them back to the town and the town sells them? I mean, because they're perfectly good fixtures. Presumably they could be recycled and reused somewhere else.
We'd be happy to drop them off to you. We find them to be a cost and a burden because we have to dispose of them. We get rid
Properly.
of them. I'll give you my 2 examples. We did Yonkers' job, and we spent a lot of money with containers and then the proper disposal of the fixtures, because some of the parts of the fixtures actually have mercury in them, so you have to dispose of that correctly. You can't just dump them in a landfill.
Why not? I'm joking. It's a joke.
Oh my God! Did you see how fast all our heads popped over?
Wow.
Okay, that will be his last question.
Now,
That was a joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Nothing like
kidding.
levity during a question.
we also did a similar job on all the parkways in Westchester County, Ross County, Hutch, every parkway, the 5 parkways in Westchester County, you noticed, maybe you haven't, are much brighter now.
Yeah, they
because
are.
all the lighting was just, they didn't maintain it, the New York State
Right, it was
DOT, and they
terrible.
put out a contract, and we were low bidders, and we got every single light on every parkway operational, and that was last year. The New York State DOT said to us, now, I went into that meeting and said to them, this 2013, and said, LEDs, 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 and they went, no, we're not interested. Now, all of a sudden, they're interested, so maybe I'll get to do the job twice. Can you stricken that? But what they asked for in that
Right.
Not allowed to edit.
was, please remove all the fixtures and
Wow.
then deliver them to 4 Burnett Boulevard in Poughkeepsie, which is Region 8's traffic main office. And we gave them 1,100 lights back. They were in a warehouse, and now they are currently throwing away 1,100 lights and having to get containers, and they're taking the burden to get rid of them because the value of a light. Now, if you guys want to keep some of the good ones in case there's a knockdown, in case there's something, that probably have some spares, and I don't
Well,
see
you're not changing the Cobra pole. You're changing the light fixture,
I
right?
don't
They're
see-
changing only the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
changing the head. So,
Go ahead.
I mean, will anybody want them? Can you sell them on eBay? Maybe.
Well, for example, DOT didn't want LEDs back when, but they wanted you to revamp their system. So maybe you could have used fixtures that the town of Ossining had that were only 15 years old versus, I'm just throwing it out there. There's a market for everything somewhere.
We would
There is, but the problem is the fixtures are really fully depreciated. The ballasts only last 2 years. The lamps only last 2 years. The housings, I mean, some of the housings that we took down, they look fine when you're up in the air, but when you go up and you get to them, they're in pretty sorry shape. And the lenses completely discolor too. They're not that clear white anymore. So the good ones, maybe you keep them from an emergency.
we'll deliver them to Eric's home.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would be, personally, I would be much more concerned with you disposing of correctly and not filling, we know that you can't put them in landfills. They're like having a computer now, right?
Right.
It's the equivalent. You can't just throw a computer into your garbage anymore. You have to put it out. You have to tell them that you're going to do it. Is that
If
it
you
for right
want 'em,
now?
I'm
Yeah, that's
happy
it
to
for
give
right
them to you.
Yeah,
So.
you could do your yard in regular old lights. And then your phone. Do you have any questions? Okay. Hey, Kim, do you have any more right now, or Jeff?
Yeah, your presentation's been very, very, very good. I congratulate you on that. I'll be forward to reading this in more, especially with Tom.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Jeff Harder, and it's Jeff Harder Day, and so you just
the
got
town
a
of Ossining.
compliment from Jeff Harder on Jeff Harder Day.
Anyway.
She's not kidding. It's Jeff Harder Day in the town of Ossining.
We
We're
gave
all
him
celebrating his 6th term on our board.
Yeah.
Oh, congrats. Wonderful.
And he's retiring at the end of the year.
It wasn't a joke.
So,
Quick, and you don't have to get deeply into it. I think it's an overall question. The proposal on the front says Town of Ossining, and that is based on the database. So does that mean you pulled the information from Con Ed already? Because this can't be the full analysis, right?
We were provided a copy of your Con Ed database from, I think Paul gave it to
Yep.
us.
Okay.
same, both companies were.
So it has
Okay.
exactly what you're currently, on the page 1 is reflecting what you're currently being billed for.
This is what Con Ed says.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going
And
to be
then-
interesting during the
And
audit.
then the second page is where you write these 100 Ws and 150 Ws. Can you just give me a broad picture of what that means? Is this the cost of the projection based on what Con Ed has? And these are the types of lights that you were thinking you would provide? I'm just looking for a real macro view here.
Typically, your lights fall into 4 types of lights. 100-watt high-pressure sodium is lighting your more residential streets. 150-watt high-pressure sodiums light larger residential streets. 250 watts will light something like Route 9 probably, and a 400-watt will light something like Central Park Avenue in Yonkers, a major 4-lane roadway. So those are typically the inventory of lights that you have existing as of right now. And we found your database matches a similar pattern because they're the standard of roadway lighting. So what is shown is the equivalent of those that we would be installing based on the ISO curve analysis of the 100-watt high-pressure sodium would be replaced with a Philips light. The model number is the RX132. So what you're seeing is an existing fixture and what our equivalent is. That then when if we were awarded or gotten a contract with you, in our audit report, we would show you how the ISO curves marry those two together. We'd show you your mapping of what you currently have and what our recommended is and why.
Right, because so this picture, based on what Con Ed has, could change because of A, we don't know how accurate it is,
Correct.
and B, from what Madam Supervisor said about some fixtures that were done by developers, so they're not actually municipal, right? Like,
Well, we would have to make decisions on those fixtures with, as a.
would
and-
your analysis come back to us and tell us how many of those there are?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we would inventory for you, and if you, whatever you tell us to include in the inventory, we would include. If you tell us to include all of the flood lighting in the fields, as well as the park lighting, as well as any street within the town limits, we would include that all for you and tell you what currently is in the database, what's not in the database, then it's up to you to tell us why, and if you want it in.
Okay.
Or where it
So
should
we
be.
can get more information and not have to actually go forward with all of it.
Correct.
Well-
in
well-
the city of Yonkers, for example, there's a couple of housing areas, housing developments that are on cul-de-sacs. That those lights we audited because they're on what we thought was a city street, right? But they're in a development.
Right.
It's maintained by that development. And the city chose not to do anything with that, but yet tell the development, if you want to convert to these,
Right.
you're certainly welcome to and join in, but you have to pay the expense for converting your cul-de-sac, so to speak. And I'm sure you have some instances like that.
We have a lot.
Yeah, a bunch, yeah.
So, but thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Excellent presentation, thank you.
Thank you for 134 and 9A. That was a successful part. Okay. So, are there any other comments, public comments? No. All right.
Okay, Mike, we then ask,
Yeah, we're gonna, and if we can get the questions, what we'll do is, any questions that the board have, we might email them to you earlier so you can come prepared to answer them. Whatever the questions are. Okay? If
Thank
not,
you.
you'll answer them right off the cuff like you did tonight. Okay.
may I have
Thank
a
you very much.
motion
Blue light.
Motion to adjourn, please,
to adjourn for executive session for legal advice?
for executive session for legal advice.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So don't forget that this weekend, on Friday night, you can go to the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club and hear Captain Craven talk about 9, the treasures on 9, Route 9. And also, I lost my paperwork now. And also on Saturday at 10 o'clock, if you go over to Dale Cemetery, there'll be an instructional class on how to repair and upright some of our tombstones and do some repair work in there and help. And you get to see how nice the cemetery looks. They've been doing a great job out there, too. Have a wonderful week. Oh, May 9th, thank you. May 9th, 8:30 to noon, Stash the Trash. We understand that some people will be at ball games, but we gather ball games are all day now. So it will be 8:30 to 12. Please call Chris Soy at 941-3189. And if you want to volunteer for any of the posts, it's the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center, Jug Tavern, the Ossining Historical Society, Lewis Angle Park Waterfront. If you get your team together, you can come as a single, a couple, a threesome, a crowd, a troop, whatever you want to come as. And if you can go to those places to get gloves and bags, or you could bring your own gloves, which would be better because sometimes you end up with one glove. And let him know where you'll be picking up trash. If you're taking your little group out, tell him where you're going to be picking up trash so we can make sure that the Parks Department of the town or the Parks Department of the village know where to go and get the garbage at the end of the day. As an example, our Scarborough team is down by the Kimmy's Literal Cove. It's a cove. It's not the condo development. It's a cove, and they spend a lot of time cleaning the week before, and then we send trucks down to get the stuff. So it's in the town. So I want to thank you all and see you next Tuesday. We will be at 16 Croton Avenue at a regular work session. Again, we'll be discussing this topic and looking at other things. So please join us there. Again, please come to our meetings if you choose to. The gentleman that was here tonight said where is everybody? And I said, we're happy to have you. So anytime. So have a wonderful night, and we're going into executive session.